بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Palestinian Embassy, on behalf of MyAqsa, on behalf of our Palestinian community in Malaysia, we welcome you today, and we invited you to join us today for two main We invited you all today for two main reasons. Number one, MyAqsa, as a Malaysian NGO who sponsored a Palestinian cause as an objective for them to sponsor a case at the ICC in The Hague against Israel. And together, between MyAqsa and the embassy, we coordinate, cooperate, try to do whatever we can do on behalf of Palestine and the Palestinians who are suffering. MyAqsa has done a great job in collecting all evidence that they can. The case was dealt with seriously by the Malaysian government. The case was discussed in one of the OIC meetings in Jeddah. The Malaysian government supported the efforts of MyAqsa. The Palestinian government and the Palestinian embassy is fully supporting what MyAqsa is doing in this particular. That's first reason. Second reason, as you know, the Israeli state crime, war crime, continued against our innocent Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank, as well as in Jerusalem. So as an ambassador of Palestine, I carried out so many interviews and press conferences. I wanted to update you today with the latest developments of what's happening. As I am talking to you just now, beside striking Gaza, beside the ongoing Israeli crime against our innocent Palestinians in Gaza, Israelis are invading in the north of Palestine, the city of Jenin. And they, just this minute as we are talking, airstriking Jenin refugee camp. This Israeli war crime, this Israeli massacre and genocide against our innocent Palestinian people, it is the responsibility of the international community to put an end to the suffering of our Palestinian people. It's the responsibility of the international community to force Israel to stop its violation of the international law. As I repeatedly said, Israelis and Jews always promote themselves as victims of the Holocaust. What they are doing at the moment is a 2023 Holocaust against our Palestinian people. International community must play a role to be fair and to see through two eyes to the suffering of our Palestinian people. You may ask me a question. What are the priorities at the moment? Priority number one, to have an immediate ceasefire. Although President Biden and the American administration yesterday and today, they are talking about a humanitarian ceasefire. But what is needed is an immediate ceasefire and to put an end to this Israeli crime. That's priority number one. Priority number two is to make sure now and not after 1 hour, immediately a humanitarian corridor is to be processed, to be facilitated, to enable all external contributions to reach Gaza, because our 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza are suffering of lack of drinking water, lack of food, lack of fuel, lack of electricity. The hospitals and the whole health system in Gaza is collapsing because there is no fuel and there is no electricity. Incubators, operating rooms, unfunctional at the moment because of lack of fuel and lack of electricity. So, priority number two is an immediate humanitarian corridor to be arranged immediately to stop the suffering of the 2.3 million Palestinians. Number three, international community has to play a role to stop the Israeli strategy of getting the Palestinian transferred out of our territories. One of the Israeli main objectives of this war is to evacuate Gaza from its citizens, and if they succeed to evacuate Gaza, next will be the West Bank and Jerusalem. So it's the responsibility of the international community to make sure that a new Nakba is not needed. Palestinians have been suffering of the 1948 Nakba and the 1967 Naksa. So we do not need a new Nakba to be created in this particular time. Palestinians will remain even if Israel continue to kill in Gaza or in the West Bank or in Jerusalem. And I think in front of you all, we are grateful to our neighboring countries, Jordan and Egypt, because they had shown their seriousness of rejecting the Israeli plans of transferring Palestinians and evacuating Palestine from its citizens. Priority number four, international community has to make a hope for our Palestinian people, creating a political process where when the Palestinians accepted the two-state solutions, accepted to live side by side, to put an end to the Israeli occupation through a comprehensive peace agreement, which will enable Palestinians to exercise their freedom and exercise their independency on 1967 borders with Al-Quds as its capital. Without achieving this objective, Israelis will never live in peace and they will never enjoy peace in the Middle East, will continue to suffer, and stability for the Middle East will be based on achieving this objective. That's my message to you all. Of course, in terms of statistics and figures, number of murders in Palestine above the 10,000 now, as of today, because it's changing every minute. The number of injured people, the latest statistic I received is 22,000. Hospitals who were targeted, 16 hospitals are unable to function now. Schools, over 167 schools, among them 43 UNRWA schools in Gaza. Journalists, 19 journalists were targeted. More than 150 healthcare providers were targeted. 3 churches were damaged and destroyed by the Israelis. And the Israeli attacks continue hour after hour, and they are unable to stop their crime against our Palestinian people. That's all I have to tell you today, and I'm open for any question if you have any question.
Your Excellency, can you tell us a bit more details about the case that you're bringing to the ICC? What sort of evidence are you going to bring, and what are the potential charges or accusations that you're going to
I will be commenting on this after MyAqsa will give their press release. After that, I will comment on this, and I'll tell you our perspective on that as well.
But is this the first one among the? Is it the first that will be submitted to the Hague?
MyAqsa sponsored this case among all OIC members for the first time in any Muslim country. An NGO sponsored a case against Israel, which is MyAqsa, and that's a credit to MyAqsa. We are grateful and we are honored to have MyAqsa working on this case at The Hague on an international level.
How soon it will be submitted to the ICC?
There already been, can we, just postpone this after the press release, we'll answer all your questions. There already been 2 sessions at The Hague, MyAqsa succeeded in having 2 sessions, right? At The Hague. Later on we can, let's focus on Gaza at the moment and on the war, and leave the issue of the Hague to later, after they release their press release regarding this issue. Anything on Aqsa, anything on Gaza, anything on the Israeli?
Can you comment on the passage of bills to prevent international financing to Hamas that was passed by the US?
Well, this is an issue that Israelis, the Americans, believe that with the financial siege, they can counter Hamas. But let me go back further and go back to 70s and 80s, even before the creation of Hamas. Israel and its supporters tried to put Yasser Arafat and to put PLO under sanctions. And they tried to surround us financially. We as Palestinians have an excellent experience in how to survive. I don't think with the sanctions of Israel and its supporters that they can make Palestinians to accept what they are planning for. Our Palestinian people are very well experienced and they can survive with whatever sanctions they do. For your knowledge, our Palestinian Authority, the legitimate leadership of the Palestinian people, have been under sanctions by the Israelis for decades, since 2007. With the present Israeli government, they are holding our money, the tax money which belongs for Palestinians, have been held by the Israelis. International community, the World Bank, and all European Union, they know very well when the present Israeli finance minister, who's the most extremist, who should be brought to justice, when he decides by himself to take a decision against Palestine and Palestinians and to hold our own money. Israelis will never survive to achieve what they want. We as Palestinians, we can live and we can survive with whatever Israeli measures is taken against us.
The American bill includes provisions for foreign states that provide support to Hamas. Do you feel that that might apply to Malaysia, and how will it affect Malaysian support for Syrians?
Well, I think Malaysian support to Palestine is not questionable. Malaysia has been a great support to the Palestinian cause for decades, and Malaysians will continue their support to Palestine. In terms of what the Israelis are promoting at the moment, that they are countering Hamas, this is a propaganda, because at the moment all Palestinian people are united. The Israeli rocket, the Israeli bullet do not differentiate between Hamas and non-Hamas in Gaza. If you look into the victims who've been killed or injured in Gaza, majority of 70% of the numbers at the moment are innocent Palestinians, civilians, innocent Palestinian people. The issue is not Hamas, the issue is not Fatah, the issue is Palestine. The main struggle at the moment is against the Israeli occupation, a priority for the international community to put an end to the Palestinian suffering and end the Israeli occupation. Our struggle at the moment with the occupier. Occupier is Israel. The international community is responsible to put an end to this occupation.
Very locally, there are quite some steps taken by Malaysians to boycott certain businesses and franchises that are allegedly linked to funding of Zionist or Israeli regime. Would you encourage this, or do you think that some of the measures are misguided?
Any measures taken to support Palestine and the Palestinians are highly appreciated. There is the boycott of any Israeli products or any franchises supports Israel helps the Palestinians to minimize their suffering. Whatever is done in Malaysia towards all those who support of Israel, I think through the social media, all those Israeli supporters among all the businesses around is very well known to everybody. I do encourage Malaysians, Palestinians, Arabs, Muslims, all those who believe in human rights, all those who believe in democracy, just to do their minimum of boycotting all the support which goes to Israel. Israelis are benefiting out of so many brands, which is all over the world. But I think lately, during the last 3 weeks, economically, if you look through Google, you could witness how much they were affected. And this could be a pressure on the present Israeli government, who practice terrorism against Palestine, just to realize that what they are doing affects their economy as well.
How do you fine-tune the boycott? And also, for instance, right, you boycott Starbucks. Their workers are from lower income group. So end up they might get retrenched and whatnot. So how do you fine-tune?
I think it's the responsibility of, it's different from one country to another. It's different from one nation to another. I think it's the responsibility of you all to increase the awareness of the public, the awareness of the people, that when you go and buy a Starbucks coffee, you support an Israeli soldier shooting a Palestinian or killing a Palestinian in Palestine. When you go to a McDonald's, you go to any other franchise which is in Malaysia, and you buy a cup of coffee or you take a hamburger, you are actually supporting Israel. This is what people need to understand, and this is what Malaysians in Malaysia needs to understand and increase the awareness of them understanding this.
Thank you.
So, just want to check. A couple of weeks ago, the Malaysian government were in Parliament together with the Legislative Assembly. There was a launch of fundraising for Palestine cause. Is there any update on the figure so far?
I think I was in the Parliament when Wisma Putra contributed 1 million ringgit through the Foreign Minister Zamri for Palestine. When we had agreed together with Wasma before even the war or the last war in Gaza, that to encourage Malaysians for transparency, we will use this bank account under the control of Wasma. And I always encouraged Malaysians to do whatever contribution they want to do through this bank account. And the same thing, I was invited by the Prime Minister to his residence in Putrajaya when he launched the fundraising for Palestine from the private sectors. And those who contributed, thank you to them all. We managed on that day to raise up to 81 million ringgits. Even last night, I was invited by Mabim and by Ihsan to go to Putrajaya warehouse where they gathered all materials, first aid materials, food, health products, toys even for the children. It's gathered in the warehouse. Tonight, I will be joining the Deputy Prime Minister with the foreign ministers and many other ministers in KLIA, that the first 20 tons of goods will be shipped to Palestine, inshallah, tonight. I think you all will be invited to the airport to witness the function tonight, inshallah.
Just going on the, sorry.
Can I just give a chance and welcome our brother who will you're in the middle. You will. That is
Sorry, sir. Do you just going on the Malaysian side? Do you expect Malaysia to do more besides the MyAqsa proposal?
I always expect Malaysia. As I told you,
are you satisfied?
Yeah. As I said earlier, no one can question the Malaysian supports, but we as Palestinians look for Malaysia to play a role locally, regionally, and internationally. What do I mean? Malaysia is an influential country, that they could play a role to get those who do not believe in supporting Palestine within Asia, for example, to show their support to Palestine. International community, Malaysia has excellent relationship and respected by the international community. They can play a role in encouraging more countries to show their support to Palestine. And let me make it clear, in Malaysia, I'm proud to say that I know how much Malay are very great supporters to the Palestinian cause. But other minorities in Malaysia are great supporters as well, and we appreciate what they are doing. I was invited to MCA headquarters, and I've seen the president, and I was interviewed by the MCA youth channel, and I've shared my views. Please understand, our struggle in Palestine is not a religious struggle. Our struggle in Palestine against Israel, not against the Jew. We are believers. Christians and Muslims in Palestine are suffering of the Israeli occupation. We as Muslims and the Christians fighting shoulder by shoulder against the Israeli occupation. So our struggle is not a religious struggle. Israel is an investment for Zionism, and it was found for a political agenda in Palestine. Yes, they invaded Masjid al-Aqsa. Yes, they always supporting the settlers going into Masjid al-Aqsa. They're trying, or they're believing that the temple is buried underneath Masjid al-Aqsa, which is totally a fabricated story. They're trying, Benjamin Netanyahu and his government, to convince the international community that they are entitled and eligible to create a Jewish state. This is just a propaganda to convince the West and the international community of their stories. Israel is a project was found by Zionism on our land, and we are the owner of this land, and we will struggle until the end to achieve our rights to live in an independent Palestinian state with the support of Malaysia and many other countries who believe in human rights and who believe in democracy. Now, can we change and do the main issue that you all want to say? And let me welcome Brother Advocate Luqman, who will be, on behalf of MyAqsa, reading the statement.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Flash for this day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm very good. This is a statement for MyAqsa Foundation to address the ongoing concern, ongoing efforts in Israeli war crimes to the International Criminal Court. MyAqsa Foundation is steadfast in its commitment to justice and accountability for the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Palestine. Since 2018, our organization has been dedicated to bringing the Israeli Zionist regime's actions before the International Criminal Court, ICC, together with many other international NGOs. Our persistence and dedication have resulted in the official initiation of an investigation into war crimes and crimes against humanity by Israel against Palestine. On February 9, 2021, the ICC prosecutor began an official investigation marking a significant milestone in the pursuit of justice. However, in light of recent events, including the heinous attacks and atrocities committed by the Israeli Zionist regime in Gaza, MyAqsa Foundation, in collaboration with the Palestinian government and the Palestinian embassy in Malaysia, has taken further steps to ensure that justice prevails. We have prepared and are still preparing an extensive dossier complemented by latest evidence detailing the war crimes committed by the Israeli Zionist regime against the Palestinian population. MyAqsa Foundation is dedicated to delivering these reports and evidence to the ICC Prosecutor's Office for immediate action. Our legal team will personally meet with the ICC Prosecutor in The Hague, the Netherlands, in the near future to provide the prepared dossier and evidence with the hope of expediting actions against the tyranny of the Israeli Zionist regime. The massacres committed by the Israeli Zionist regime are blatant crimes of genocide, crimes against humanity, ethnic cleansing, and war crimes, which are within the ICC jurisdiction under the Rome Statute. And it is proven, among others, by the following. Since October 7, as we all know, 2023, to date, it has been reported that Israeli Zionist regime has intentionally killed more than 9,000 Palestinians in the last 4 weeks, for which 70% of whom are women and children, not counting the systematic attack and killing of the Palestinians by them since the beginning of Israeli Zionist occupation in 1948. The right of self-defense claimed by the Israeli Zionist regime to counter-attack Hamas cannot be sustained and beyond the scope, as they have so far, among others, intentionally dropped more than 18,000 tons of bombs on Gaza. The cumulative size of the nuclear bomb that the US dropped on Hiroshima, resulting 32,000 Palestinians injured and killed more than 9,000 people, whereas about 2,060 people, including 1,150 children, have been reported missing under the rubble. In fact, the series of alleged Israeli bombardments towards Palestinian towns, villages, dwellings, and buildings, and recently the strike of Al-Ahli Arab Hospital in Gaza, killing an estimated 500 people, including patients and displaced Palestinians sheltering inside, is an apparent war crime under the Rome Statute and a blatant violation of the international humanitarian law. On top of that, the acts of the Israeli Zionist regime to employ the use of artillery-fired phosphorus in military operations, and the most densely populated areas in the world, Gaza and Lebanon, is also self-evident war crime under the Rome Statute and a blatant violation of the international humanitarian law. MyAqsa Foundation urges the ICC prosecutor to use their powers as granted under the relevant clauses to promptly initiate action against Israel based on the reports and evidence provided. In addition to these efforts, MyAqsa Foundation believes it is crucial for the international community to take proactive steps to address the pressing issue, the following pressing issue. 1. Formation of an OIC Security Council and Peacekeeping Force. We call upon the OIC to establish its own Security Council and Peacekeeping Force. Malaysia, a member of OIC, should play a leading role in advocating and proposing this initiative. An emergency meeting of the OIC should be convened without delay to approve the motion, followed by the expeditious submission of this proposal to the United Nations Security Council. Immediate boycott of Israel in accordance with the PDS. Severing diplomatic relations with Israel. Muslim countries that currently maintain diplomatic relations with Israel should take immediate action to sever those relations and close Israeli embassies within their respective countries. Joint initiative at the ICC, we call on countries that are signatories to the Rome Statute to collectively bring Israeli war crimes cases to the ICC, ensuring that justice is served and that those responsible for the atrocities are held accountable. MyAqsa Foundation remains committed to pursuing justice, peace and accountability for the Palestinian people. We will continue to work tirelessly to ensure that the voices of the oppressed are heard and those responsible for war crimes and crimes against humanity are brought to justice. I'm Lokman Syarif bin Alias and the co-chair of the MyAqsa legal team, and we will yes, I think we're open to questions.
Sorry, can I ask, since we are not one of the signatories to like the Rome Statute, or we didn't ratify, will there be a problem? This fine?
No problem. I think if you look, even UN is not a signatory, has called on Putin for war crimes. It's not an issue to call for connection under ICC.
How soon do you think proceedings at the ICC?
I think they are in the process of investigating. We have to submit they have called for evidence, so I can't say for sure how long it will take. I hope they can be expeditious. We will provide as much as we can the evidence in collaboration with the Palestinian embassy, inshallah.
Can you just talk a little bit about your evidence gathering process?
I think previously we went to Palestine actually to collect evidence, and I myself and a few team, we were there for a number of weeks where we interviewed people and actually take evidence and take pictures there. So that was previously. Currently, since we are not there, we are collaborating with the Palestinian embassy for the evidence to be brought to collect them from the Palestinian government.
And when was that evidence gathering?
That one was usually when was it? 1 year ago. It got some time back, from 2019. Since 2019.
Sorry, 2 questions.
Yes, please.
Do you have a deadline or timeline to file this action at the ICC?
It's an open invitation. I think there was.
Does MyAqsa have a deadline? That means we want to do this by December or January?
This month.
Or this month, okay. End of this month.
Yeah.
And
Sorry. Yes, please.
What is MyAqsa's local standard, since it's not a country?
It's fine. I think previously we were amicus curiae to the proceeding to bring action against the ICC. So previously we had a locus in terms of amicus. They were open to submit. I think to give evidence, the prosecutor, anybody can bring evidence to the ICC. They have opened a platform, and I think for a direct platform to provide evidence to the prosecutor.
There has been known that the don't really care about international pressure, even from the United Nations, the Council. So do you think this is enough?
I do think it has helped a long way if you look right now, I think the whole world has realized, I think the more we do this, whatever is correct, whatever is legal, we have to fortify and tell the whole world what is happening, so that our legal stand, crimes against humanity, crimes against international humanitarian law, we need to put it on record. Once it is on record, it's easier or more acceptable for the public to accept. So this has been an ongoing process, and I do believe it has helped in articulating the narrative, the crimes of Zionists in the international forum.
Mr. Roman,
Yes.
maybe you can explain how it works, because last time I checked, ICC has no jurisdiction over non-members. And Israel didn't sign the Rome Statute.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think they, as you are aware, previously there was a challenge whether they can prosecute ICC, right? I know here is not a party, right? Through the chambers, I think the last round, I think there was a decision that says they can proceed with the investigation. And because of that, the ICC prosecutor, at that time, Bensouda and now Tarimat, they have opened the platform to receive evidence. So how it goes from here, it's not a straightforward challenge, but I think we will try to bring this one up.
Because of that question, actually, ICC, they put in front of the pre-trial chambers in 2020, to have a judgment whether ICC has jurisdiction, over the crime committed by Israel in Palestine. You see? So in 2021, on the 9th February, so the pre-trial chambers already has a judgment. I mean, they agreed that ICC has jurisdiction in Palestine committed by Israel. So that was the judgment by the pre-trial chambers.
Therefore, they can compel the war crime.
They can investigate,
Yes, they can investigate.
and then prosecute. I think we will bring forward as far as the legal mechanism permits. Right? That was when we were amicus curiae in that pre-trial chamber as well. And I think they have decided, as January has said, they have opened up the room for investigation and for prosecution.
Do you know when
Last question.
Do you know when the ICC prosecutor is due to complete his investigation?
We don't know actually. They are still collecting and collecting. We do not know how much evidence that they have, but I think we are going to communicate with them and see and submit our evidence and see how far the case has been.
What would be the most ideal outcome of the measures?
I tell that if it is possible, there is a prosecution. That is the best ideal position. I think it is an obvious war crime, it is an obvious genocide, in an obvious ethnic cleansing process. If they can take an action, it will create cases like Russia. There was an indictment against Putin, right? So if they can take it through, then it will be marvelous for the world.